Looking for a trusted supplier for all your household hardware needs? Look no further than Competitive Hardware Limited. We provide top quality building materials including cement, all types of iron sheets, paints, PPR and PVC pipes, electric pipes, building grills, BRC and square till in various sizes. Need interior and finishing materials? We've got you covered with gypsum, gypsum rails, marine boards, ceiling boards and tanks of all sizes. For fencing, we stock barbed wire, chain link and wire mesh. And the best part, we offer free countrywide delivery with our fleet of transit trucks and pickups. Your order arrives on time, every time. Visit us in Kitengela along Namanga Highway, opposite 411 stage, or at our branches in Kitisuru and Busia. For enquiries, call us on 020-26-88888 or 0733-666632 or 0721-923248. Competitive Hardware Limited, your reliable hardware supplier. Competitive Manpower International Limited is recruiting delivery riders in the United Arab Emirates. If you have a passion for the road and a desire to work in a fast-paced environment, then this is your chance. Don't wait. Send your applications to competitivemanpower@gmail.com. Want to apply in person? Visit our offices at Kiko Road behind the Casa Hotel, KCB River Road, Nairobi. For more details, call us now on 0721-506627 or 0733-392180. Act fast, opportunities are limited. Secure your spot today and start your journey as a delivery rider in the United Arab Emirates. Looking to build a better future in the Gulf? Exciting job opportunities in Saudi Arabia for Kenyans. Competitive Manpower International Limited is currently recruiting for a wide range of skilled and semi-skilled positions. We are now hiring helpers for 1,200 Saudi riyals, steel fixers at 1,500 Saudi riyals, shuttering carpenters at 1,500 Saudi riyals, masons at 1,500 Saudi riyals, charge hands at 1,500 Saudi riyals, foremen at 1,800 Saudi riyals, scaffolders at 1,200 Saudi riyals, welders at 1,500 Saudi riyals, and plumbers at 1,500 Saudi riyals. Call us today on 020-222-4844 or 0721-506627 or 0733-392180.
A fine morning to you. Welcome to the CBS Newspaper Review. My name is DANFLOW. Now, on this chilly morning, I'll be taking you through the top stories making headlines, that is in Kenya as well as across the globe. Now, today we start with the two newspapers, the two major dailies, that is the Bold Standard newspaper and the Daily Nation as well. So, for the headline, the Standard newspaper's headlines reads, "Time for Africa." And the Daily Nation top headline reads, "Never learnt from Shakahola horror." So for the, I'll start with the Standard newspaper. Time for Africa. It has pictures of three cardinals. From one is from Guinea, the other is from DRC Congo, and Ghana, the Ghana Republic. So waiting to happen as the conclave beckons to for purposes of electing a new prelate following the death of Pope Francis. Africa is once again a talking point. With over 260 million Catholics, the continent is second only in the Americas in numbers of loyal subjects to Rome. Will the Vatican break with the centuries of tradition and crown its first African Pope? That is a question the Standard poses. All eyes are now all eyes now turn to the 135 cardinals eligible to vote. And among them we have, that is Cardinal Robert Sarah, that is 80 years old, from Guinea. We have Cardinal Fridolin Bongo, 65 years old, from DRC, and Cardinal Peter Turkson, 76 years old, from Ghana. So we're aware that the Pope recently passed on Monday during Easter, and the whole world actually is in mourning due to this. The Catholic Church, being a universal church, has followers from all over the globe, and we're seeing that Africa for the first time is in the talks about the appointment of a new Pope. And the story goes on page 2 to read. So the story goes on page 2 to read, "The elusive dream. Is the world ready for a Pope fast rising Africa?" From fast rising Africa. So there are 3 senior cardinals from Ghana, Democratic Republic of Congo, and the Guinea, as I have just mentioned, and you can see them on the splash of the Standard newspaper. So the College of Cardinal elects the next Pope, guided by traditions and several other factors. So the conclave actually means this is the time that it is actually a process of electing a new Pope upon the passing of Pope Francis, and there are rituals and specific rituals, actually a specific set of rituals that will be followed as the new Pope is to be elected. So the Standard reads, as smoke of mourning continues to rise over the Vatican following Pope Francis' death on Easter Monday, his passing has reignited a familiar yet critical question of whether the time is ripe for Africa to give the world its first Pope. After over a decade at the helm of the Church, the Holy Father, aged 88, that is Pope Francis, succumbed to a severe bout of double pneumonia, according to the Vatican. But as bells toll and black-clad mourners gather at St. Peter's Basilica, while the rest of Catholics around the world recite the Rosary and offer holy masses for the repose of his soul, a quiet debate about legacy, continuity, and change is taking shape, with African candidates dominating conversations. So Cardinal Robert Sarah from Guinea, he is a theological conservative, though ineligible to vote due to the age threshold. His vote and writings remain influential, known for deep orthodoxy and ascetic life. So there are 18 African cardinals, actually, according to the Standard, there are 18 African cardinals eligible to vote in the conclave, making up to 13% of the 135 cardinal electors. So it is, according to the Catholic Church, there are hierarchies from the Pope, that being the leader of the Catholic Church, going down to cardinals, to priests, till you get to the deacons. And it is the duty, it falls upon the cardinals to vote for the next Pope. And only, it turns out that 18 cardinals will actually, from Africa, will be participating in the voting process as the whole world waits to know who the next Pope will be. So only 3 are being mentioned as potential successors of Pope Francis. 3 out of the 18 cardinals in Africa are being mentioned as potential successors of Pope Francis. We're hoping to see how that goes. That's definitely a developing story. Let us remember that since the Pope's passing on Monday, the Vatican declared 9 days of mourning, and we also know that the Pope is set to be buried on Saturday. That is according to the Vatican, which has set the date for his burial. So the Pope is supposed to be buried between 4 to 6 days after his death, but the mourning will continue till the 9 days are complete. So here, so technically, that is a devout Catholic gives here a comment, says, technically, the Church is one, and in theory, all cardinal electors should not be influenced by region or interest. So that is definitely, we're actually looking at this story keenly, because could Africa actually produce the next Pope? This is very interesting. We've had a first Black American president. Here in Kenya, we have leaders, MPs from even Indian origin being elected into leadership positions. Can this happen? Or is it still a pipe dream? Is it too early for this? As we all know, Pope Francis was actually considered an outsider, for he was the first Pope among all over 200 popes to be elected to the top seat in the Vatican, yet he was not from Europe. We'll hope to see how that goes. The Standard also highlights here another story on page 3, where Kenya to miss, the headline reads, Kenya to miss papal conclave as Cardinal NDWE exceeds voting age limit of 80 years. So Kenya will not participate in the election of a new pope by the College of Cardinals at the Vatican. Cardinal John Cardinal NDWE, Kenya's only cardinal, is now 81 years old, rendering him ineligible to vote. According to Catholic Church rules, the maximum age for a cardinal to be eligible to vote in a papal election is 80 years. And as you can see, our Kenyan cardinal, that is Cardinal NDWE, exceeds that by 1 year. He is 81 years old and will be missing out on that. So he followed the late Cardinal Maurice Otunga, who was appointed by Pope Paul VI in 1973 and passed away in 2003. So Kenya is now the only country in East Africa that will not take part in the electing process of the new pope. Yeah, so we'll miss out on that, but as the rest of the continent takes part in the voting of the new pope, we are hoping to see how that goes. Who will be the next pope? Will Africa actually produce the next pope? Interesting story, that one. So we move on to the Daily Nation, highlighting the top story. It is never learned from Shakahola horror. So according to the Daily Nation, 57 people who had turned the church's premises into their first home rescued by police. So tragic, barely 2 years after the Shakahola massacre and over 800 kilometers from the forested mass graves, another eerily chilling saga is unfolding in Migori. And like in Kilifi, the discovery of 2 deaths at Malkio St. Joseph Mission of Messiah in Africa Church has exposed yet another cult in the country and caught the attention of authorities. So the story continues on page 10, and it notes religion. Of course, this surrounds religion, where there are some religious leaders who are using religion for the wrong purposes, because as you saw from the Shakahola story in 2023, now in 2025 we have yet another cultism story in churches. So 57 people who had turned the church's premises into their home rescued by police. This is actually a very interesting story, because there have been calls for regulation of churches, and we have not seen this happening. And maybe is it time to regulate churches, or should churches be left to operate as they wish? So according to the story, it says another saga is unfolding more than 800 kilometers from the Shakahola. 2 suspicious deaths have raised the alarm in Migori County. So the sign at Malkio St. Joseph Mission of Messiah in Africa Church, or Purple Village, bears the writing, "Welcome to New Jerusalem, Kimpotate Monaleli Montario, Alleluia." So the deaths of 2 people, believed members of the church, are the subject of this investigation. Police say the suspicious death prompted a raid on the church on Monday night that led to the rescue of 57 people who had turned the place into their home. So these people who were rescued, according to the Daily Nation, the rescued members rejected treatment when they were rushed to the nearby hospital. So all women at the church identify themselves as Alleluia and are not at ease to share information about what usually goes on when they are in the compound. Remember, they have turned this church compound into their home. And while being rescued on Monday, the 57 individuals were first taken to Rongo Sub-County Hospital for attention, but they flatly refused to be examined by medical officers. So health workers advised that the group be removed from the hospital as they were becoming a bother to other patients in the facility. The Daily Nation shows here a picture of a shrine. Of course, it looks religious with crosses of Christ. So a shrine at Malkio Church yesterday. So police and medical officers were at the site of one of the graves in Shakahola. That was in 2024. So this is also a reminder. I think this comes again as a reminder. The Shakahola story saw the death of more than 400 persons who to date Some are yet to be identified due to the extent of decomposition of their remains. Yet again, we are seeing here a new case of occultism in churches. Will churches finally be regulated, or will they be allowed to continue maneuvering as they already do? As we know, in Rwanda, churches are being regulated. That is a country here in East Africa. Will Kenya also be part of that to regulate the church scenery, the religious scene in the country? Another story being highlighted here by the Daily Nation, inside Pope Francis' final hours and new details of his life. So according to the Daily Nation, this is a story highlighted at the bottom of the page, and the story continues on page 2. It talks about what happened after the Pope. We last saw him on Sunday when he showed up for Mass. He waved to the people, and by Monday the Vatican announced his death. So a dying Pope Francis waved his hand at his personal healthcare assistant before slipping into an irreversible coma. The Vatican press arm has reported. So according to Vatican News, run by the Vatican Dicastery for Communications, the assistant had been working with the Pope for years. The assistant, a nurse, was there on Monday morning when the Pope's health deteriorated. Around an hour later, after making a gesture of farewell with his hands lying in bed in his second-floor apartment, the Pope fell into a coma. As the world, the global and the faithful continue condoling with the Pope, we also here at CBS, we continue condoling with the family of the Pope, with fellow Christians at large. Now, moving on to other stories, the Daily Nation also highlights here education stories, where teachers set for new allowances in proposed law. So that story is at the back of the Daily Nation. Another story being highlighted here at the Daily Nation is Sudan's junta writes to MPs accusing Ruto of backing RSF rebels. So Kenya's parliament is under pressure to respond to a diplomatic protest by the Sudanese government, which has directly accused President William Ruto of aiding and abetting unrest in Sudan by allegedly supporting the Rapid Support Forces. So this is a powerful paramilitary group blamed for war crimes and crimes against humanity in Sudan. We'll see how that develops. We've had these accusations before. We've actually highlighted these accusations for you here before, where President William Ruto is facing accusations of supporting a rebel group in Sudan. We've also had from the former deputy president, the impeached deputy president, that is Rigathi Gachagua, who claimed that President William Ruto actually held meetings with the RSF paramilitary groups here in Kenya. We've also seen the country come out to deny accusations that Kenya actually gave space for the RSF paramilitary group to form allies here in Kenya. So that is a developing story as it continues on page 12. Will the president finally respond to these allegations? What will MPs say about these? Will the president respond, or will the accusations still continue coming in? So that is a developing story. Please stay tuned, and we'll keep you updated as the story develops. Another story here highlighted by the Daily Nation is a man faces long jail term or huge fine for must go X account. So this story continues on page 16. We've actually seen a lot of youth recently since the anti-government anti-finance bill protest started in 2024 around June. We've actually seen an increasing number of young people using social media, creating accounts, impersonating the president, which is actually turning out to cause a lot more trouble than they had expected. So the Ministry of ICT has actually continued to call for responsible use of social media pages. Social media should not be used for attack of others, and we're hoping to see how that story develops. I've also seen on Twitter Kenyans calling for his release. Will he be released? Do Kenyans understand the laws surrounding media spaces? or do they need more empowerment and to be educated on that? Now, another story in the education sector that has caused jitters is about mathematics. We've all heard of a recent proposal by the Ministry of Education to make mathematics, actually it would be compulsory for learners moving on from grade 10, that is senior secondary school, and it has actually caused jitters, with some refusing. The others are of the opinion that mathematics is very necessary for brain development, for critical thinking, and it should still remain compulsory in the curriculum. But despite this, the Kenya National Examination Council has said that math will not be compulsory. So according to a story here by the Standard newspaper, NEC says making mathematics compulsory at senior school is bad for learners. So NEC chairman says students will have gained enough arithmetic literacy by junior secondary school level, that is after grade 9, and so council says learners will be offered more time to concentrate on their learning pathways. So leaders in the education sector have insisted that mathematics will only be compulsory in primary and junior secondary school. Kenya National Examination Council Chairman Julius Nyabundi yesterday said primary and junior level mathematics was enough to build understanding in the subject. It also emerged that performance in mathematics in secondary schools over the years has been poor compared to the end of primary schools. So a look at the 2022 examinations, for example, shows that over 80% of candidates scored between grade A and D+ at the class 8 level, but the numbers went down to 17.46% in KCSE. So the dismal performance placed students' final examination in secondary schools in Uganda, Tanzania, and Zambia ahead of Kenyan candidates. However, Otieno said this is not as a result of difficult curriculum, but rather the rigid grading and assessment system. So the big drop, that was in 17.46% actually performance in mathematics in the 2022 examination, down from 80% in KCPE. So from 80% to 17.46% by the time learners are finishing, that is Form 4, that is secondary school, and therefore the Kenya National Examination Council stands by the new proposal to do away with making mathematics compulsory for senior school learners. Will parents support this? Are they still agitated? We have seen teachers unions come out to also protest this move. Will the National Parents Association also speak on this? Will parents actually be okay with this? So as we know, the first cohort of senior school learners will proceed to secondary schools across the country. That is from next year, January 2026. And preparations are underway to ensure that all is in place. We've heard from the Teachers Service Commission, where Dr. Nancy Macharia has expressed some fears that there are not enough tutors to support the enrollment of senior school learners. And as we know, that students will now be choosing a career path to take moving forward. The STEM, others will be taking social sciences, others will be taking the arts pathway. So will mathematics be out of the equation in senior school? Will it not be compulsory, or will only those who want to pursue STEM courses do mathematics? And will parents be okay with that? So as that story develops, we'll definitely keep you updated on that. And still on matters education, the Daily Nation has highlighted a story here where teachers are set for new allowances in proposed law. Now this story comes at the back page of the Daily Nation. And so teachers to get new allowances in proposed law. The bill before Parliament seeks to ensure clarity and consistency on how salaries are managed within the teaching profession. So teachers across the country could soon enjoy more predictable and structured allowances if members of parliament approve the Teachers Service Commission Amendment Bill 2024 that is before the National Assembly. So the proposed legislation seeks to amend the Teachers Service Commission Act of 2012 to provide clarity and consistency in how allowances are managed within the teaching profession. So the National Assembly has given members of the public until May 9th, 2025 to submit views and memoranda to the Departmental Committee on Education on the bill, which is sponsored by Mandera South MP Abdul Haro. So we are hoping to see how that goes. So 60%, the Kenyan National Union of Teachers is pushing for a 60% basic salary increment. Hopefully the teachers get better pay, because, and as we know, as the Daily Nation has reported, Kenyans have up to date 9, that is next month, May, to give their opinion about this new bill that seeks to enhance, to empower teachers in classrooms. So in compliance with Article 118, Section 1B of the Constitution and Standing Orders 127, the Clerk of the National Assembly hereby invites the public and stakeholders to submit memoranda on the bill. So among the key proposals in the bill is the insertion of a new Section 32A, which outlines a structured process for appointing teachers in acting capacities. I think previously, actually, the Teachers Service Commission has been under fire about appointment of teachers in acting capacities, where some have been left to stay in acting capacities for long overdue the stipulated time. And now the bill also seeks to address that issue. Now, the legislation also introduces a new schedule specifying the types of allowances that may be granted under certain conditions. So as NAT pushes for the 60% salary increment, we're hoping to see teachers will actually earn more. An empowered teacher leads to an empowered student. So the teachers usually have a CBA. So the current CBA is set to expire on June 30th, 2025, and it was non-monetary, and negotiations between the Teachers Service Commissions and the unions are set for the 2025-2029 agreement. The process is actually at an advanced stage. So we're hoping to see how that goes. Will the teachers get more pay? We're seeing the unions agitating for more pay. We've been seeing them calling for strikes over the years, and probably, hopefully, actually, teachers will finally get pay rises. So still on matters education, at the back of the Daily Nation, TSC fights back in raw over 25,000 promoted tutors. We have been highlighting this story to you since the teacher promotion process began a while back. That was in last year when the Teachers Service Commission announced promotions in the dailies. And according to MPs, according to teachers' unions, they allege that the promotion process is mired with favorism. They're basically calling it out. They're saying it is faulted. And the Teachers Service Commission CEO, that is Dr. Nancy Macharia, has for the first time come out to respond to these allegations. So the TSC has maintained that the recent promotion of 25,000 teachers rejected by Parliament was conducted fairly and transparently. Speaking publicly on the matter for the first time, TSC Chief Executive Officer Nancy Macharia expressed hope that the issue would soon be amicably resolved, allowing deserving teachers to begin enjoying their new roles. So the National Assembly Committee on Education, led by Tindret MP, that is Julius Meli, had rejected the list of promotions, alleging that the process was unfair and that some qualified teachers had been excluded. So, but Mrs. Macharia, whose 10-year tenure ends on June 30th, this year, stated that she has, over the years, implemented numerous reforms, many of which have improved the education system. Among these, she cited the promotion of 25,000 teachers across all cadres, an initiative now at the center of significant criticism. She was speaking during the Kenya National Schools Principals Forum in Mombasa. So a quote here by Dr. Macharia says, even before we could announce the results of the interviews, your own Kenya secondary schools head association and trade unions were up in arms protesting the criteria used in promotions. So year after year, many of you have earned well-deserved promotions and risen to the apex of school leadership simply because you take your work seriously, the TSC boss said. So we are hoping to see how that goes. We have been reporting to you how unions have been agitated over this matter, and teachers promotions is actually a very touchy issue in the country, noting that Kenya's teachers are actually the largest group of civil servants in Kenya and in East Africa at large. We're hoping to see how that progresses, because the unions and as well as parliament, the MPs have actually alleged that the criteria used by Dr. Nancy Macharia in awarding the promotions was not fair and equitable. That is because, according to Dr. Macharia, all regions across the country received an equal number of promotions, which the MPs and the unions oppose, and they say that it was unfair because some regions have more teachers than others, and they feel that should have been considered. So those are some of the top stories making headlines this morning, and we will be taking a short break after those education stories, and we will be right back with more stories on business, more stories about sports and other developments across the country and in the counties. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back after this break.
Competitive Manpower International Limited is recruiting delivery riders in the United Arab Emirates. If you have a passion for the road and a desire to work in a fast-paced environment, then this is your chance. Don't wait. Send your applications to competitivemanpower@gmail.com. Want to apply in person? Visit our offices at Kiko Road behind the Casa Hotel, KCB River Road, Nairobi. For more details, call us now on 0721 506627 or 0733 392180. Act Fast opportunities are limited. Secure your spot today and start your journey as a delivery rider in the United Arab Emirates. Looking to build a better future in the Gulf? Exciting job opportunities in Saudi Arabia for Kenyans. Competitive Manpower International Limited is currently recruiting for a wide range of skilled and semi-skilled positions. We are now hiring helpers for 1,200 Saudi riyals, steel fixers at 1,500 Saudi riyals, shuttering carpenters at 1,500 Saudi riyals, masons at 1,500 Saudi riyals, charge hands at 1,500 Saudi riyals, foremen at 1,800 Saudi riyals, scaffolders at 1,200 Saudi riyals, welders at 1,500 Saudi riyals, and plumbers at 1,500 Saudi riyals. Call us today on 020-222-4844 or 0721-506627 or 0733-392180. Looking for a trusted supplier for all your household hardware needs? Look no further than Competitive Hardware Limited. We provide top quality building materials including cement, all types of iron sheets, paints, PPR and PVC pipes, electric pipes, building grills, BRC and square till in various sizes. Need interior and finishing materials? We've got you covered with gypsum rails, marine boards, ceiling boards and tanks of all sizes. For fencing, we stock barbed wire, chain link and wire mesh. And the best part, we offer free countrywide delivery with our fleet of transit trucks and pickups. Your order arrives on time, every time. Visit us in Kitengela along Namanga Highway, opposite 411 stage, or at our branches in Kitusuru and Busia. For enquiries, call us on 020-26-88-888 or 0733-666632 or 0721-923248. Competitive Hardware Limited, your reliable hardware supplier.
Now, welcome back to the CBS newspaper review this morning. And after that short break, we continue highlighting for you the top stories making in the dailies today. And among the stories here in the Standard newspaper is a story of devolution in counties. So Ruto, a threat to devolution, warn governors amid tiff on roads fund. And we have heard the president say he is willing to control this road fund since there is a tiff between the legislators. So county chiefs want to manage the roads fund, but the executive won't hear of it. So President William Ruto has pleaded with governors to allow the national government to run it. So governors have accused President William Ruto of being a threat to devolution following his remarks that the national government is best positioned to manage the road maintenance levy fund. So the governors want the president to allow county governments manage the levy funds, maintaining that the national government had failed to discharge its functions. The president on Sunday in Narok pleaded with governors to allow him manage the funds, arguing that he will be more efficient to lead to improved infrastructure and enhanced connectivity across the country. But according to Ruto, the overlapping responsibilities between the national and county governments in road infrastructure development had often caused delays and inefficiencies. So, levels of government, 2010, the year when Kenya adopted a new constitution that devolved power to 47 counties and created two-level governments, national and county governments. And each of these governments, the county and the national governments, were given their mandates. And the road levy was actually, it falls on the counties. It is up to your governor, your MCA, to ensure you have good roads in your area. That is not a function that falls to under the mandate of the national government. But as we are seeing here, the tiff between governors and the legislature and the executive in that levy actually is causing, and the president is saying he is willing to manage that fund, which is actually unconstitutional. Will the president let the governors control the fund, or will he actually take control of the fund? And so Nyeri Governor Mutahi Kahiga, before Senate, he said when the president says he wants the funds released to the national government, in other words, he is skewed towards MPs. The constitution only recognizes two levels of government, the national and county government. Kahiga added that constituencies are not levels of government. Constituencies are not executive. The executive is the county and the national level, and we would ask the president, if you swore to defend the constitution, that statement on Sunday does not augur well for devolution. He said devolution is the only thing that allowed Wajir and Mandera citizens to see and touch tarmac. We're hoping to see how that story develops. We've actually been hearing from the president, and he says he is very willing to take charge of that fund, and he says there have been inefficiencies before, and he believes he will be the man to ensure that roads are constructed better in each county, in each constituency. That is a developing story. We'll tell you more about how that goes amid the tiff between governors and the executive. Also highlighted here in the Daily Nation is CS Ruku vows to improve services at Huduma centers. So as we know, former Mbere MP, now the current Cabinet Secretary for Public Service, replacing, that is Justin Muturi, the former National Assembly Speaker. Ruku recently took over the docket after being sworn in, and his vetting was highly publicized. Now, particularly after Muturi's firing, and Ruku now says he vows to improve service delivery. So Ruku has assured citizens that issuance of good conduct certificates and other essential government services will be expedited through Huduma centers. Speaking during an impromptu visit to Huduma Center Thika, CS Ruku said his ministry is committed to improving efficiency. He identified a few areas that need enhancement to ensure Kenyans receive top-notch services. He called on governors, government officers at sub-county level to work closely with Huduma centers to ensure services reach citizens more efficiently and effectively. So during his visit at the Huduma Center in Thika, he expressed concern over a high number of uncollected documents in Huduma centers. He also revealed that at Huduma Center Thika alone, more than 10,000 driving licenses, 1,500 birth certificates, and 8,000 national identity cards remain uncollected. And the CS is urging all Kenyans across the country to please collect their documents. That is just in Thika, where we are having more than 10,000 driving licenses, more than 1,500 birth certificates, and more than 8,000 national identity cards uncollected. And the CS is urging everyone across the country, please collect your required documents. Also here at the Standard newspaper, a man in court over fake Ruto posts on social media. I think the story is also highlighted in the Daily Nation, where they say a man has been brought before Milimani law courts for impersonating President William Ruto on social media. He is also accused of falsely claiming that the head of state was planning to step down. Titus Wekesa Sifuna, a 22-year-old resident of Bungoma County, was presented before Senior Principal Magistrate Geoffrey Onsarigo on Tuesday. So DCI is seeking 7 days to complete investigations. Police claim Sifuna pretended he was President William Ruto and deceived Kenyans that he would leave office. In an affidavit, Police Constable Peter, attached to the DCI headquarters, stated that Wekesa operated a parody account on Twitter, that is X, formerly known as Twitter, under I Must Go, impersonating President Ruto and publishing posts suggesting that the president was preparing to resign. So as Kenya, the new media space, initially I think only traditional journalists have been taught on the use and the ethics of the media, and as Kenyans get the power of social media and citizen journalism, it falls upon them to understand media laws and media regulations as well, because this is a media space. Social media is a media space, and wrong use of it can actually land one in trouble. As we have seen since the Gen Z protests, we have seen an increase in number of youth being arrested or being called out for wrongful use of social media spaces. Will this come to an end, or will we see more people, more youth? Because the accused person in this case is actually a 22-year-old. Will we see more of this, or will youth deter from using social media for the wrong reasons? That is a developing story. We've also seen Kenyans on Twitter calling for his release. Will he be released, or will he still be detained? That is for the law to decide. But meanwhile, Kenyans are urged, please familiarize yourself with media laws to ensure you are not caught up in such a case, in such a scenario. Now, another story highlighted by the Daily Nation was on the organs, the body organ trafficking, which we have been highlighting for you throughout the week and last week. So Mishra swears innocence as MPs announce parallel probe into the alleged trafficking of body organs at Medihill Hospital. So the story continues on page 14, and it says the parliament committees will recommend reforms to transplant regulations and propose disciplinary action. So the committee says it is a serious matter that not only touches on the dignity of life, but also on the integrity of the medical profession. So members of parliament yesterday began an 80-day inquiry into allegations of organ trafficking at Medihill Hospital in Eldoret, as the hospital's founder, former Keses MP Dr. Swarap Mishra, strongly denies the accusations. The National Assembly Health Committee, it is led by Seme MP Dr. James Nyikal, said the probe would begin immediately. This follows public uproar triggered by a Nation expose detailing how senior health ministry officials allegedly doctored an initial investigation report into this scandal. So Dr. Nyikal described the allegations as serious and stressed the need for a comprehensive investigation to protect lives and restore dignity to the medical profession. So a quote here by Nyikal is, "We will get to the bottom of it," he said during a press conference in Parliament building. So this is a serious matter, he continues, that not only touches on the dignity of life, but also the integrity of Kenya's medical profession. This is a story we'll be following up on Kindling. So as the Daily Nation reports, 80 days of investigations into these 80 days of investigations for the Medihill over the organ transplant saga. That is a developing story, and we'll be keeping you updated on that story. So you're hoping to see what the government will what actions will the government take. As we know, that is a former MP, a non-public figure, and big names being roped into this saga it's actually not a good sign, and hopefully justice will be served for the families that were affected by this illegal organ transplant. And also it raises a question of the integrity of the medical profession, which now needs to be restored. And moving on to a story about security, how police boss Stroll exposed security lapse. So officers on leave are usually recalled during holidays such as Easter to boost security in Nairobi and other urban areas. So around 2 p.m. on April 20th, Deputy Inspector General of Police Eliud Lagat drops everything he's doing at Vigilance House, the police headquarters, to take a walk in Nairobi city center. So it is a public holiday, so he is dressed down. He is in a grey and peacock print shirt, a black trouser and black shoes. Aside from the casual wear, the blue cap further aids in concealing his face, which his juniors would likely recognize easily. Unlike when he is in uniform, on this day, not many people around the city recognize the second most powerful police officer in the country. So the walk is intended to kill two birds with one stone. Take a breather from the heavy administrative work that usually consumes most of his work hours, and do a spot check on his junior workers. So whenever there is a scheduled spot check, the uniformed Deputy Inspector General is either driven around the city or escorted by a large contingent of officers. Not today, no chase cars, no armed bodyguard. So a Nation reporter is in tow, embedded to show one of the most powerful officers in the city's underbelly when there is no scripted police operation. So according to this story, let's test the ground. I want to test if what I have been told is true. That is what Deputy Inspector General of Police David Lagat said. So on April 20th, the date when the Deputy Inspector General of Police Eddie Lagat took a walk in Nairobi City. And read more on that story to find out the exposed security lapse that occurred in that story. And moving on to a rather sad story, the death of an MCA. So MCA collapses and dies at City Hospital. That is the Kariobangi North MCA representative, that is Joel Munuve. So he died yesterday after collapsing at a hospital where he had gone for a checkup. In a statement, Nairobi County Assembly Speaker Kennedy Ngondi said Munuve collapsed at the AR Hospital in Kiambu Road. So Honorable Munuve, that is a quote by Mr. Ngondi, Honorable Munuve was a dedicated leader, a tireless voice of the people, and a passionate presence in the assembly. He added that the county was not only mourning the loss of a colleague, but also a brother whose presence and insights enriched the institution and uplifted many. So He was not admitted. A statement from AR Hospital clarified that Mr. Munuve was not admitted but was pronounced dead on arrival at 10:30 a.m. yesterday. Kilelesha Ward Representative Robert Alai, a close associate of Mr. Munuve, said the cause of death remains unclear. So Alai, a quote by Alai reads, "He was picked from home this morning by one of his friends, Peter. He always used his vehicle or one belonging to a friend. On the way to town, he said he was in pain, and that's how he died in front of the hospital." His Ngara counterpart, Chege Maura, who also serves as County Assembly's Forum Secretary General, said the Assembly would take charge of the funeral arrangements. So this comes days after the MCA, that is Kariobangi North MCA, had an interview with the Standard, where he has actually been calling for the impeachment. It comes just 3 days after he started calling for the impeachment of the Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja. We're hoping to see how that story develops. Will other MCAs continue with the call to impeach the Nairobi governor, or will that call end with the late MCA as we know him? And we condole with his family here at CBS News, and we hope investigations into the matter can be done to find out, particularly the postmortem will show if there was any foul play or it was actually a natural death, and we'll be keeping you updated on that and more details. So we move on to another story, actually world news, where a ritual unites Egyptians with salted fish and smiles, highlighted on page 27 of the Daily Nation. So preparing fesik is an art and a gamble at the same time, Egyptians say. So celebration families insist on homemade batches or trust decades-old vendors. So a dawn breaks on Orthodox Easter Monday. Egyptians of all faith gather in parks, on balconies and riverbanks, clutching plates of fesik, a pungent fermented fish dish that has anchored the country's millennial-old festival, Shem El Nessim, since the days of the pharaohs. So though less known beyond Egypt's border, this 5,000-year-old celebration, whose name translates to the smell of the breeze, marks the arrival of spring, with traditions that transcend religion, class, and time. So that is the story of culture and rituals in Egypt. It is actually a uniting story, and yeah, a good story. A ritual that has actually been happening for over 5,000 years and not known to other countries in Africa, actually, but it is a good story. A matter still on matters health. Back to matters health. Kajiado nurses strike enters second month as pay is halted. So an unfulfilled 2021 collective bargaining agreement between the workers and county remains the bone of contention as the nurses enter their second month of strike. So the nurses and midwives strike in Kajiado has entered its second month, with the county government suspending their salaries, a move that has forced the medics to seek court intervention amid a health crisis affecting thousands of patients. So at least 650 nurses and midwives under the Kenya National Union of Nurses and Midwives began their industrial action on February 28th, following the expiry of a 7-day strike notice to their employer, that is the county government of Kajiado. So the salaries of striking nurses have been suspended. They were suspended in March, and we have received show cause letters amid summons. That is a union official, William Leala. That is what William says. We are hoping that that impasse can be resolved and that nurses, Kajiado County nurses, can get back to work. As you know, the lives of many are actually at stake due to in the absence of nurses in hospitals. Yeah, and still on matters health, we are having here a sorry state of Nakuru Level 5 Hospital amid shortage of staff. So this comes after the recent death of a new mother has exposed the wanting situation in Nakuru County. So the challenges coincide with the governor's long absence from the county. A senior government official has admitted that Nakuru Level 5 Hospital is struggling to offer services due to its dire shortage of staff. In a concerning admission, Nakuru County Executive Committee member for Health, Roslyn Mungai, confirmed that despite serving thousands of Kenyans, the facility suffers from a significant shortage of staff. So Mungai says the maternity wing is severely overwhelmed. Looking at the number of deliveries happening here compared to the number of nurses we have, it is severely suboptimal. So the recent death of Elizabeth Wairimu hours after giving birth has exposed the facility's shortfall. The development comes as Senator Tabitha Karanja Keroche has petitioned the Senate to conduct a full audit of Nakuru Level 5 Hospital following the rise in cases of deaths among mothers and newborn babies. So a false promise. In 2022 poll campaign, that is the county governor of Nakuru, that is Susan Kihika, hit out at then Governor Lee Kinyanjui and promised to improve healthcare in the county, particularly at Nakuru Level 5 Hospital. 2 years down the line, the Level 5 Hospital in Nakuru is on the spotlight after the death of a mother who had just undergone a C-section while to deliver her baby. And we are seeing we had the county, actually the Nakuru governor has been on the spotlight, as this comes at a time when she has been on the spotlight for her absence, her long absence from the operations of the Nakuru County. And we have also seen fellow women leaders come out to defend her absence, which they say she deserves her maternal leave like any other woman in the country. Will she be back to address the challenges at Level 5 Hospital? Was it a false promise in 2022 when Susan Kihika said she would look into the challenges in the Level 5 Hospital? We'll be keeping you updated on that as the story develops. We're hoping to see better healthcare in the country. Please note that healthcare is actually a key sector in the country, and many lives are at risk in case there is lack of good healthcare in the country. And still on still on international news, Nepal's digital finance and lessons from Kenya's M-Pesa revolution. So it's actually an intersection between international news and business news. Even with economic gains, Kathamundu's e-finance sector is still playing catch-up with its peers as it only gained traction during COVID. So Kathamundu's e-finance sector. So in Kathamundu's iconic Tamil district, the rhythm of daily life feels steady, steeped in tradition. The narrow lanes buzz gently with scooters and the soft shutters of locals. Amid temples and tea stalls, signs of digital transformation quietly surface. QR codes. These are quick response codes propped up on vegetable stands, e-wallet apps visible on smartphones. Slowly but surely, Nepal is inching towards digitized financial future. So, however, the pace remains cautious and measured compared to countries like Kenya. So we're hoping to see that goes. So according to Dikiash Sai, that is an economist and researcher in South Asia, he says we are exporting our labor force instead of building domestic employment capacity. It is unsustainable in the long run. So yeah, we're seeing India is also inching towards the Kenyan way of having money transfer actually in the digital way, just like we see in M-Pesa here in our country. We wish them all the best. We hope their structure works for them, and just like Kenya's M-Pesa works for Kenyans. Yeah. So and as we move on we finalize with sports stories. And yeah, so we had highlighted for you a story where the junior starlets are in Cairo, have traveled to Cairo for their match this week, and we are wishing them the best. We hope they bring back home trophies and medals. Now, a story here at the back of the Standard newspaper: Diamond League kicks off amid talks on Grand Slam track series. So the Diamond League meeting in Zaem is the first leg of season as athletes prepare for world championships. So former US sprinter Star Johnson is the founder of Grand Slam track, which debuted in Kingston earlier this month. That is Kingston, Jamaica. So Faith Kipyegon and Beatrice Chebet head up a stellar cast of athletes kicking off the 16th Diamond League season of Zaem on Saturday amid challenging landscape that has seen Michael Johnson launch his Grand Slam track series. So Kipyegon will begin her campaign for a record equaling 6th Diamond League title when she lines up in the women's 1,000 meters. And we wish her all the best. She needs just one more series title to equal Sandra Elkasevic's record and become the joint most successful female athlete in League Diamond history. A three-time Olympic champion and four-time world champion, Kipyegon has also become a serial world record breaker in recent Diamond League seasons, notching up 4 world records in 2023 and 2024. So among other Kenyans to watch, other than Kipyegon, among other Kenyans to watch in this competition is, so Kipyegon will be running the 3,000 meters race, Beatrice Chebet the 5,000 meters race, Caroline Nyaga 5,000 meters race as well, Ibrahim Kibiwot 3,000 meters, Edmund Serem 3,000 meters, Simon Kowech 3,000 meters, and Ferdinand Omanyala 100 meters. We wish them all the best, and we'll be keeping you updated. Please support our Kenyan athletes on Twitter. Let them know you are watching and you hope they win and bring back medals for themselves. So Kipyegon, our repeated world record breaker, we're hoping to see how what she does, the magic in her feet this coming season. Another story here is Duplantis wins Laurentia's Sportsman of the Year award. So world and Olympic pole vault champion Mondo Duplantis claimed one of the biggest prizes on sport on Monday by being named the Laureus World Sportsman of the Year award. So the Swedish superstar was presented with the accolade of the Laureus World Super Award in Madrid in a ceremony that brought together the greatest athletes not only of the past 12 months but of the 21st century. So congratulations to him. And there's a picture of him holding his trophy, smiling, happy with his award. So as Kenya proceeds with the games, we wish them all the best. Also, African youth and junior champ Achieng eyes LA Olympics ticket. So the women's 76 kg continental ace is keen to avoid mistakes that broke her heart in last year's Paris Olympics qualifiers. Achieng to miss Dakar 2026 Youth Olympic qualifiers after joining senior ranks. So Africa women's 76 kg junior youth weight lifting champion Rachel Achieng was heartbroken when she missed to qualify for Paris Olympics last year by a whisker. So she felt her world in the sport had come to an end, but she soon gathered courage, got up, dusted herself, and soldiered on. She has returned to the game twice, inspired with focus to punch tickets to the 2026 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, Scotland, and to book a berth in Los Angeles 2028 Olympics. So far, her trajectory is going on well, and this was confirmed by 3 gold medals she scooped in the 13th edition of the African Youth Junior Weightlifting Championships. We apologize for that technical hitch. We are back, and we were talking about Achieng and how she eyes the LA Olympics ticket. And so far her trajectory is going on well, and this was confirmed by the 3 gold medals she scooped in the 13th edition of the African Youth and Junior Weightlifting Championships held in Nairobi last November in the women's 76 kg category. And we wish her the best as she proceeds. Please, that story marks the end of our newspaper review this morning. Ensure you grab yourself a copy of the dailies on your way to work this chilly morning. And yeah, to find out, delve more into the stories I've highlighted for you, get more details, find out more stories I have not been able to pinpoint for you this morning. And that marks the end of our newspaper review this morning. Stay tuned. We'll bring you more updates at 1 p.m, 4 p.m, 7 p.m, and 9 p.m. My name is DANFLOW, LINDWE. Cheers.
Competitive Manpower International Limited is recruiting delivery riders in the United Arab Emirates. If you have a passion for the road and a desire to work in a fast-paced environment, then this is your chance. Don't wait. Send your applications to competitivemanpower@gmail.com. Want to apply in person? Visit our offices at Kiko Road behind the Casa Hotel, KCB River Road, Nairobi. For more details, call us now on 0721 506627 or 0733 392180. Act Fast opportunities are limited. Secure your spot today and start your journey as a delivery rider in the United Arab Emirates. Looking to build a better future in the Gulf? Exciting job opportunities in Saudi Arabia for Kenyans. Competitive Manpower International Limited is currently recruiting for a wide range of skilled and semi-skilled positions. We are now hiring helpers for 1,200 Saudi riyals, steel fixers at 1,500 Saudi riyals, shuttering carpenters at 1,500 Saudi riyals, masons at 1,500 Saudi riyals, charge hands at 1,500 Saudi riyals, foremen at 1,800 Saudi riyals, scaffolders at 1,200 Saudi riyals, welders at 1,500 Saudi riyals, and plumbers at 1,500 Saudi riyals. Call us today on 020-222-4844 or 0721-506627 or 0733-392180. Looking for a trusted supplier for all your household hardware needs? Look no further than Competitive Hardware Limited. We provide top quality building materials including cement, all types of iron sheets, paints, PPR and PVC pipes, electric pipes, building grills, BRC and square till in various sizes. Need interior and finishing materials? We've got you covered with gypsum rails, marine boards, ceiling boards and tanks of all sizes. For fencing, we stock barbed wire, chain link and wire mesh. And the best part, we offer free countrywide delivery with our fleet of transit trucks and pickups. Your order arrives on time, every time. Visit us in Kitengela along Namanga Highway, opposite 411 stage, or at our branches in Kitisuru and Busia. For enquiries, call us on 020-26-88888 or 0733-666632 or 0721-923248. Competitive Hardware Limited, your reliable hardware supplier.